Shalom Jackies, welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you didn't get that quote, then you haven't watched decent TV. Obviously, if you're Jewish, you'll get the quote, but Friday Night Dinner, come on, like that is like one of the best comedy shows I've watched in my, my youth days. That was In Betweeners, Family Guy, American Dad. But I always think that American Dad is a little bit better, even though Family Guy is probably the OG and it's been running for a lot longer. I used to watch Futurama as well, and I actually preferred that to The Simpsons, but I am also really excited to watch Simpsons, the new movie. It's been rumoured to come out. I'm getting a little bit more into like cinema. It's weird. As I'm getting to my 30s now, like fucking old bag. I'm sorry, I just had to get my laces tied up because I can't do that at all this morning. But yeah, I'm also really excited for The Simpsons, but it's weird. As I'm approaching my 30s, I'm getting more and more excited for like new movies coming out. Just such a fucking old bag when you hit your 30s, or it seems like it is. Like it's like also milestone age to hit, and it's a big birthday. But yeah, I went for a full year once, thinking that I was a year older than I actually am. So I'm still gonna say that I'm 29. I'd rather say or be unaware of my age than try to play down that I'm actually younger than I actually am. And also I look fucking old anyway. I got a fucking long ass beard and I'm dressed like a fucking hobo this morning. But welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm officially 6 weeks out from my first ever bodybuilding show. It's come round thick and fast. Technically I'm 5.5 weeks out because 6 weeks on Sunday. Today's now Wednesday, so we're kind of like halfway through a week. So I'm 5.5 weeks out from my first show, and then my second and third shows are in September, so I'm a good just under 20 weeks away from those shows. But first one, 6 and 5.5 weeks out, give or take, and I'm thoroughly excited now, absolutely buzzing for it. And things are getting harder, but today I'm going to be taking you through a mini day in life. I have a fairly quiet day of clients today, but I have a lot planned. I have a posing session with my posing coach, coffee with one of my clients, which I'll show you a little glimpse of that, and obviously some of the sessions I'll be training today. So I've got 2 this morning, John and Mike, and also I've got James and Adrian later on this evening. So a very spread out day, but filled with a lot of stuff. So I've got to do some content filming, got to eat my meals. So I'll also be taking you through a rest day, full day of eating, 1,890 calories. So from the last vlog I did, I think I was on about 2,015 calories. So we've done some big drops since I've been back from holiday, since I've been back from Rhodes. When I came back from Rhodes, I actually ended up weighing lighter than I did before I went, which was mission accomplished. And I think mainly this is down to the fact that you're dropping information when you're on holiday. I didn't do any cardio. I did focus on steps. I did get my training sessions in, although they weren't probably as good quality as it would be back home. My legs before I went on holiday were absolutely shagged. So having done barely any cardio, a lot of steps, and just chill out and relaxing, my legs have now started to come in a lot faster. And I found this out when my photo shoot prep a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was doing so much cardio towards the end and my legs just weren't coming in. And normally with one of the first muscle groups to come in for myself. So then when I, in peak week, stopped doing cardio and stopped training legs, my legs just came straight in real fast. So sometimes those respite weeks, if you've got ahead of yourself in a prep, so we're trying to lose a little bit of faster rate of loss on the lead up to Rhodes, you can afford to have a bit of a respite week and enjoy your time away, and knowing that it's actually going to do your body some good. Like I needed that rest. Unfortunately, like my weight has come up slightly since being back, and I have no idea why. I haven't changed any of the foods that I'm having. I might have changed how I've cooked them or how I present them, but other than that, I haven't changed any seasonings, introduced any new foods that I shouldn't have had before or haven't had for a while. I've kept everything the same. It's just how it is. But it is held from holiday. So when I came back, I was 62 or 61 kilos. So I'm still in the 62s, low 62s. So that should drop by the end of the week. I've got to get cardio in today as well. And I've also got to get a shit ton of steps in. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and enjoy today's vlog. So tuck this elbows in a bit more. That's it. And you're going to drive straight up and across. So get those arms a bit straighter at the top if you can. Really buck them out, squeeze, okay? Then come down. Think about breathing into that chest on the way down as well. No press, there we go. Chin chin, mate. Try not to go onto that heel, keep the weight in the middle of the foot. So that's my first lot of morning clients done. John absolutely smashing his session. John is fairly new to the coaching process. His goal is just to get back into doing the gym, and then over time we're going to layer in more nutritional based stuff to help him with his weight loss journey and things like that. But today we're working on some new exercises. We're introducing a new training plan next week. So in that session today, we would normally have done a dumbbell press at the start, so an incline dumbbell press. But today we're moving over to more cables. Now the reason why we've moved over to the cables is it offers a little bit more of a greater resistance profile. So when you're pressing with dumbbells, the weight kind of drops off about there pretty much, and then it starts getting lighter. Because with a cable machine, it's slightly wider than you when you're pressing. As you're pressing forwards, that cable then closes off a bit later, which means in the range of a chest press, he's actually getting more resistance for a bit longer, so it won't drop off until about here, and then it gets lighter. So we're taking his chest through the same degree of range of motion, but we're now applying more resistance through that range, and it's going to essentially make it feel harder. So it's quite a good transition from a dumbbell press into the same style of cable press in terms of the bench height. You felt it a little bit more because of the resistance lasting longer in that rep, but also it's just the same movement pattern. And sometimes when it comes to progression of exercises, it might be a case of just changing the actual mechanics of the exercise. So for example, if you're doing a cuffed lateral raise and you're on a pretty much like a 30-degree incline on a bench, let's say you've maxed out the weight, you're hitting, let's say 7.5, because we know that delts are the fucking bane of existence of bodybuilding. They're really weak, so you could be on the same weight forever. But let's say you maxed out at 7.5 kilos because you're an absolute unit. Rather than then like going up to the next weight and lowering down your reps, all you could do is literally just bring the bench up to the next notch. Now, what that will do is, let's say you're cuffing yourself here and you've been led on a 30-degree bench, you're basically lifting just the weight of the cable. But now when you sit up a bit taller, you're now lifting not only the weight of the cable, but lifting a little bit more weight of your arms. So if you have like 10 kilo biceps, you've now added an extra 10 kilos without actually making the weight any heavier. You might actually even have to go a bit lighter with the weight, and then you could build it up again, max out to 7.5, and then bring the bench up again, and then rinse and repeat that. And then when you go back down to 30 again, you then also could probably go a bit heavier because you've built it over time through different mechanics. So you're changing the mechanics of the exercise. It's a great way to progress within your training. And with Mike, we're working on his B stance deadlift. I've obviously shown Mike on the vlog before. He is absolutely killing his priming phase at the moment. So Mike's goal is to get into his running. He's doing a Plymouth Half Marathon in a couple of weeks, which is really exciting. His first ever kind of big run. So we've been working on his cardiovascular base, doing a lot of aerobic intervals. We've also been doing just some normal list kind of cardio to help with his fat loss journey. But at the moment, we're in a priming phase. We've got one more week left of his priming phase. And this is a really integral part of a client's journey, because no one's ever ready to gain straight off the bat. No one's ever ready to diet straight off the bat. You want to build and lay those foundations to make that phase a lot easier. So with Mike, for the last 7 weeks, all we've been focusing on is his nutrition habits, his training quality, and his aerobic capacity, and also his NEAT, so his non-exercise thermogenesis, so steps and things like that, to increase his activity. And that alone, without having any focus on losing body fat, has enabled him to lose 7 kilos in 6.6 kilos in 7 weeks. I'll pop up the photo that I shared on my Instagram the other day of the transition from the very start to 7 weeks. He's made some incredible progress, and that's without even focusing on fat loss. So imagine what he's now going to achieve when we move into a fat loss phase, knowing that we've got the foundations laid for this phase, and rinse and repeat it, just looking at maybe more intricacies of nutrition. His weight is going to be flying off the scales, and he's going to look insane at the end of it. And I'm really, really excited, A, for his run, because he's never run before in a marathon, but also B, to see how much fucking great shape he can get into in another 18 weeks time when he moves it. Well, his fat loss phase is 18 weeks. So we're moving into an 18-week fat loss phase to get him absolutely diced. And then we're going to go for his first growth phase, which I'm thoroughly excited for. So stay tuned for his progress. Haven't had my meal one yet. So I did go for a coffee with Mike before his session to suppress my hunger a little bit more as well. But it's now 10:05. So today is a rest day for me, like I said earlier. So it's mainly consists of writing content, emails for my email marketing. So if you haven't, make sure you go onto Instagram, download yourself a free training program, and you'll get access to my email list. I'm also going to be doing some education today. So I'm about to get into that now. And reason why is I want to actually delay my meal by another hour. Okay, so to keep my mind occupied, I'm doing some learning.
which also helps out with my career, getting better, educating myself, improving my craft to get better results from my clients. And this is the one thing, if I was ever looking for a coach, I'd look out for this. If they're not regularly keeping up to date with their education, developing themselves, walking the walk and doing the things that you want to be doing, then you're probably better off going to another coach. You wouldn't go to a driving instructor that didn't know how to drive. So why would you go to a PT or a coach that hasn't done the thing that you want to do? I pride myself, for me as a coach, on walking the walk for my clients. I've been through multiple gains, multiple diets. I'm now doing a bodybuilding show. Yes, I don't necessarily want to train bodybuilders as such, but it's an experience that I can help if someone does want to come into my coaching process and do a bodybuilding show. Having done one will enable me to show a bit more empathy to that client of the struggles they're going through when their legs start feeling like concrete like mine at the moment, doing your cardio, doing your steps, that sort of stuff. But it's enabled me to get some great results for my clients because I've lived and breathed the thing that they want to be doing and being an inspiration for those clients as well. So I'm always looking to develop myself knowledge-wise, but also through my own journey too, which is what I'm sharing on my YouTube. So today's lesson is all about body transformations. My last lesson was about learning about how your body recompositions and why it happens with certain people and it doesn't happen with others. I'm going to be releasing an educational video on this in this week, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And it's going to be talking about why you don't gain as much muscle after your first 3 years of lifting. And if you've been gaining any longer than 3 years and you haven't changed, this is going to be one video that you're going to need to watch. Jesus Christ, my head looks massive in this. This is why I wear a beanie all the time, to hide my freaking mega mind head. But my first bit of learning has been done today. Today's lecture was all about needs analysis. So when a client comes on board, what questions to ask in a consultation, what things to cover in their assessments, all things I'm currently already doing with my clients, but learning from another educational platform, you get an insight into maybe some other things maybe you haven't thought about. So there are some questions that I will actually be adding into my consultation form, just to give me a little bit more information on things I need for a client to set them up so they can hit the ground running successfully and also get the most out of the process as well. And so that it's all tailored, individualized to them, rather than taking a client on board, asking how many calories are and just giving the calories and plan and training and then say, see you later, get on with it. That is not coaching. Coaching is assessing, making sure things are individualized to that individual in front of you, because everyone's different. Everyone's got different limb lengths, everyone's got different ranges of motion, dietary requirements, allergies, mindset issues. All these sorts of things need to be taken into consideration when setting up a client. And that's why I take my time when I'm setting up clients for the onboarding, to make sure, like I said, everything is there in place for them to start and they can hit the ground running in the best possible way. But it's now time to tuck into one of my favorite meals of the day, my omelette that I have every single day, every single morning, or scrambled egg. You know, it's the same principle. But like I said earlier, I have fasted until 11 o'clock today. And the reason why I intermittent fast is because it shortens down my eating window. So rather than having 12 hours to eat, I now have between 20 past 11 and the time I get home at 8 o'clock this evening to fit all my meals in that time, which allows me to eat them a little bit more frequently. So if you are in a dieting phase or in a prep like myself, utilizing this can be really, really handy, because often we might get more hungry in the evenings. So delaying that first meal, keeping your mind occupied with work, and often that is the case. You get up in the morning, it's shower, it's having your hydration, it's having your coffee, and then it's straight into work until you have your first bit of morning gap, which might be about 10, 11 o'clock. Having your first meal then is often a really good shout, because you'll sit down at 10 and thinking, oh, I've got no work to do at the moment. Now I'm really, really hungry. Perfect time to have that first meal. So I'll put the calories on the screen, but like I said, I'm having an omelette, but today I fancied a little bit something different. Fancied having an egg within my omelets. Normally I do 180 grams of egg whites, ham, cheese, spinach, and lettuce. So today I've gone for 1 egg, 180 grams of egg whites, 5 slices of wafer thin ham, 30 grams of spinach, and a whole bag of Italian crispy lettuce. This will tie me over until lunch, where I'm then gonna have my first carb meal of the day. And I'm thoroughly excited for it, because it is literally my favorite meal of the day. So the one meal that I look forward to every single day is my meal 2. I won't tell you what that is yet, because it's amazing. It's so good. And the way I've made it at the moment, it makes it last a little bit longer. Now I will probably eat said omelette with a teaspoon, mainly because it's going to last a bit longer. And looking at it, it does look, I must admit, a bit like a scrambled egg, because I made it with the runny egg, like put the egg whites in the jar with the raw egg, thinking, right, if I fry it and not flip it and just put the toppings on top, I'll be able to have it as a runny egg. Went to go and take it out of the pan, it fucking stuck to the pan, didn't it? So means I had to scramble it. So I've got a little bit of runny egg in there somewhere, and obviously a bit of Tommy K to go on top, which I haven't really been adding in a lot of seasonings to my food at the moment, other than the shake on seasoning. So in the omelette itself, I've got quite a few. I've got cumin, paprika, parsley and chives, and a bit of black pepper. But normally I haven't added any sauces because I haven't really needed to, but I just fancied a little bit of ketchup. So 15 grams on top. So I'm gonna get this down, and then it's straight into some staff education before I start writing some emails and writing some content out for next week. And I'll take you through the rest of my meals 2, 3 and 4.
It's a skill like knowing how to help someone create a calorie deficit. It's a skill knowing.
Here we go then. The best meal of the day, my oats. Honestly, cannot get enough of these. The way you make them makes a huge difference. Pan oats are obviously the best. Then it's microwave, and then overnight oats are like bottom tier. I've kind of like combined overnight oats with cooked oats. So what I tend to do is I make it in a microwave because it's a bit more convenient than a pan. It takes a bit less time. Patience is key with your oats. Patience, patience, patience. If you just blast a microwave, it's going to overfill. You've got to do it incrementally. So I do 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, and then a couple of 15s, and just keep stirring it every time. The more water you add, the more volume this would be. And I put it in a smaller container because it looks more, psychologically looks more to eat. So I'm thinking that's going to be really, really filling. I'll then take it out of the microwave once it's cooked, put my dark chocolate on top whilst it's hot so it melts across the top layer. Then I put my protein paste on top of that so it spreads across the layer. Then I put my frozen berries on, cinnamon, bit pink Himalayan salt, bang it in the fridge overnight, and then it goes solid like this. And it literally is like a cake. I've also got some naturally flavoured water from Co-op. Didn't have the sparkling, so we've got the strawberry and kiwi flavour. But the reason why I'm having this meal now on my rest day, today is a posing session with my posing coach, so I want to look fucking pumped. So I normally have this before I train anyway. So it's because it's got pink Himalayan salt in it, get some electrolytes in, get some water in, get some carbs in, perfect. 3 things you need for a combination for a pump. And obviously it is kind of almost like a workout. Like doing a couple of posing rounds is surprisingly very, very difficult. So I'm timing it perfectly with that. Now, when it comes to your meal timings, are they really that important? Yes. And the reason why I say meal timings are important is often what happens is you'll eat out of boredom. You'll eat out of boredom, you're doing nothing, you're scrolling through your phone, you're thinking, I could do a bit of food now, and you'll go and have that food. Then what happens is when you actually are hungry, you're more hungry than you actually need to be. So actually having a structure with your meals and meal timings is going to be really, really important, especially in a prep and a diet, okay? Or if you're going for a fat loss phase, time your meals around when you feel most hungry is going to be really, really beneficial. So with my meal timings at the moment, because I'm in a prep, I'm trying to have my meals every 3 to 5 hours as much as I can. So my first meal was at 11:30, and my next meal now, which is at 2 o'clock, which is 3 hours later. And then I'll have my posing session, I'll do an hour of cardio, and then I'll have my next meal at 5 o'clock. And then my final meal, which will be my frozen yogurt meal, will be at 8 o'clock. So a little bit longer of a distance because I have clients until 8. By the time I get home, it'll be about quarter to 9. But that's how I time my meals at the moment in my deficit. When I'm in a gaining phase, you want more time to eat. You don't want less time. So spread your meals out over 12 hours. So the moment I wake up, I'll be eating. Then I'll try and time my meals every 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes it is 3 to 5 based on what you've got on your lifestyle. But again, within that time frame, you could have 6 meals. You could have 3 meals if you want to. Doesn't matter if you're having 6 meals a day, 3 meals a day, 1,000. Let's say you're having 1,000 calories. Because I'm a dyslexic shit, if you split 1,000 calories down 4 ways, it equates to 1,000 calories. If you split 1,000 calories down into 6 meals, it's still 1,000 calories. It doesn't actually matter how many meals you have in a day in order to facilitate the goal that you're going to get to. So let me give you a quick taste test of these banging oats. Just get a big spoonful of that on there. Look at the density of that. Absolutely immaculate. 10 out of 10. The little bit of pink Himalayan salt that you have on your oats really makes a massive difference. Now with my oats as well, before I devour this, I put cinnamon and nutmeg in it whilst it's in the microwave. So the oats are also seasoned. And then I also put a bit more cinnamon on top because cinnamon is like the best seasoning you can have on your oats. I've got used to nutmeg now and it's quite a nice earthy taste along with the cinnamon. But cinnamon is like top tier seasoning for like oats, overnight oats, that sort of stuff. Even on my yogurt later, I've got cinnamon on that. Oh. Definitely make your oats like this, especially if you're in deficit. It'll take you a while to get through it, but it's a hell of a lot worth it. Let me know in the comments how you make your oats, and if you want me to give you the recipe for mine, let me know.
Right, let's do it. Good, then hold, and then a slight extension of the right arm. Good, keep a slight bend and keep engaging the lats and biceps. Good. Face the front, abs and thighs. Good. And two of your favourite classic poses. I will start with the one that we just practiced.
Okay, so go that side, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'll cover up, adjust.
That's that way.
Do whatever way is most comfortable. Good. And then I'll cover up with the hand that's going to be off the hip. Bring the other hand around. And draw a big circle into that shot. Good. And then this one's come out into that teacup pose.
Oh yeah. Oh, so I need the other hand, don't I?
Yes, yeah. So that one's going to come to cover up.
Yeah.
So across the body, and then bring the other hand out onto the hip. Simultaneously, draw a big circle with the biceps. Nice. And then from here.
That's posing session wrapped up with my posing coach Reese. I'll drop his handle on Instagram in the description. If you guys are interested in posing coaching, highly recommend Reese. He is a PCA Naturals Pro, won his card last year, so he knows his stuff. He's been around the middle of it for a long time. So it was good to get another session with him. I haven't had one for about a good month, just because I've been away on holiday, and bodybuilding is expensive. So I had to save up a little bit more to kind of get the session in today, but really productive session. So we went through a couple of rounds of the mandatories. And obviously I'm competing in WNBF, so they've changed some of the requirements for their posing routines or posing anyway. So for example, the double bicep is now asymmetrical, one hand up and one leg back potentially, or one leg back and both hands here. As long as it's asymmetrical, you're all good. And obviously I'm going to be entering the first timers. Now, obviously this is just personal opinion, but first timers, I feel like they're a little bit slack on, maybe give you a little bit of kind of slack. I don't know. That's just me in opinion. So I could still get away with maybe just doing a normal, like parallel legs, but I want to do it properly. I want to make sure that I'm, you know, keeping to the rules, keeping to the guidelines to maximize my chances of doing really, really well. Do I think I'm going to win? I don't think, you know, I'm not putting that pressure on myself. Essentially just doing it for the fun of it and just to see where I end up. I know I can get conditioned. I just don't have the size just yet. That's a couple more gaining phases and diets away, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So like I said, posing has gone really well. We actually started doing some more transitions, which was really alien, and trying out some more like prestigious kind of classic poses like the Archer's pose, the Arnold pose. I've never done them before. So I felt like a little bit like Bambi on ice, I must admit, but it was very, very good. So I was super, super excited to like start practicing a little bit more of my flow in terms of my routine. I've got my music chosen and it's a Stormzy song. So it's quite slow at the start. It's like one of his more slower based soulful songs with a backing artist. So she's singing at the start. I cannot remember the name of her for the life of me. But I'm basically going to be on most days of the week, I'm going to be practicing just putting poses together and see what comes out. As well as obviously Reese listening to the music himself and then writing down some notes of where he thinks I'm going to look best with my physique and things like that. But yeah, really, really excited to start pairing things together. It's coming around like really, really quick, 6 weeks out or 5.5 the recording of this video. So yeah, it's scary stuff, but exciting stuff at the same time. So about to jump on my cardio. Now, when it comes to your cardio, there is no right or wrong. You can do HIIT training. So I'm about to jump on and do my cardio now. I've got 60 minutes to do. because I have slacked this week, so I'm going to do double. But when it comes to your cardio, I would always recommend choosing something that's going to require less of your kind of central nervous system. So when you're in a deficit, you want to be kind of in zone 2. So anywhere between like 120 and 150 beats per minute. And I would probably go towards the higher end to start off with, because as you know, as you get fitter, it's harder and harder to get those higher heart rate zones. So you've got to keep pushing yourself, like you would progress your training, progress your cardio, for example. Okay, so I would always sway towards the bike. That's just my personal favorite. I prefer the bike. I can get my heart rate up and hold it there for a long period of time. But equally, as you're getting further and further into a deficit, into a fat loss phase, into a prep, your legs are going to get heavy. They're going to start feeling like lead. So you might actually be preferred to do half and half. So half on the bike, half on the Stairmaster, or just move over to the dreaded bloody Stairmaster that everyone absolutely loves. Jokes, not. It's a horrible machine. Or the cross trainer. Cross trainer is also a really good machine. It's full body, also using your arms and legs. But I would just be wary when you're tracking it on your watch. Make sure you're setting it to workout and not steps, because if you've got a coach or you're needing to make changes in your fat loss phase and you're doing like 20k steps and you're actually only doing 10, but it's registering it from your cross training, then that's probably maybe where you're hiccuping a little bit and progress is stalled. So just be aware of that. Make sure you're tracking your cardio as workout and not just letting it run off your normal step tracker or your phone or whatever you're using to track your steps, because that could mislead the data, mislead your decisions in your deficit, in your preps and diets and things like that. You could also use the incline walk, so treadmill, incline walk. Again, I'd probably actually remove your watch for that and just walk on it. Register the heart rate on the monitors of the actual treadmill every couple of minutes, just to make sure you're holding your heart rate. But I would always, for me personally, my personal favourite is the bike and the Stairmaster. That is steam in. Cardio done, into meal 4 of the day. And this is a chili con carne with rice and mixed veg. But the ratio is in favour of the chili. And it's turkey mince, so it's definitely way good for protein. But obviously, because of my calories being lower, my carbohydrates are lower. Now, I don't run days where I have high calories or low calories. I just run the same calories every single day, training or rest day. So if you are doing something similar to this, your carbohydrates on a rest day can be distributed however you want. If you want more carbs in the morning, if you want more carbs in the evening, distribute them that way. I tend to have my carbs where I feel like I need a bit more concentration, or like today, for example, was a posing session and cardio. So if you are doing cardio in your rest days, perfect opportunity to time your carbs around then, because technically it still counts as extra activity in your day that you're having to exert lots of energy for. So having some carbs pre and post is a really good way of doing it. You could split them straight down the middle. You could split them 3 ways. So I've got 200 grams of carbs to get in a day. So I could go 100 in one, 100 in the other, and then do more protein, veg, protein, fat meals, either before and after those, depends on how many meals you're having in a day. But that's basically how I would structure my food on a rest day. Doesn't tend to matter too much. I tend to like to also, play around with my fats, have quite a bit of fats across the day rather than just having a bolus of dark chocolate. So this is something I experimented with today. Normally I wouldn't recommend it, because when people experiment, they experiment with new foods that they haven't had for a prolonged period of time, or they're reintroducing some new stuff. What I've done is I've stuck with the same foods I always have, but I just made them in a different way or distribute them a different way. So my yogurt, normally I just have it as a yogurt, bit of protein powder and some fruits. Today I'm having it as a frozen yogurt for the first time. So try and make things last a bit longer, but also having a nice little sweet treat when I get home this evening, because this is technically my dinner now. And then when I get home later, because I'm going to get home about 8:45, I'm going to have something a little bit more lighter before I go to bed, so I'm not going to bed so late. And we are back for the final meal of the day. I've been super excited to have this all day. Frozen yogurt, berries, frozen mango, protein powder, and in a paste with some peanut butter. First time doing it frozen, so it'd be interesting to get a taste test, but Jay's absolutely smashed his preacher curls on the hip extension. A really good use of equipment if you're lacking in your gym. So if you've got no preacher curl bench, 45-degree hip extension is really good. And also you can raise that up as well. So if you put it on platform, so it's then at 60 degrees, that will change the whole outlook of the exercise. It will make it heavier, make it heavier earlier, and drops off a bit later because it's your arms coming over your elbow. And if it's obviously a lower incline, it's a little bit easier, it drops off a bit earlier. So time for the taste test that we've all been waiting for. I've been super excited for this. I can guarantee I probably haven't defrosted it enough. I literally did it in a microwave. I didn't know how long to do it for, so I put it in there for like 8 minutes, 15-second intervals, just to try and get it to like an ice cream texture so I don't have a Ninja Creamy. Oh yeah, this is good. That's good. Look at that. Get a good look at this. Dense. That's going to take me a good while to get through that. Quick taste test. So it's carrot cake protein powder with cinnamon in the yogurt, mango and berries. I haven't got a berry yet, and the peanut butter just sat on the top. So what I probably will do next time is microwave the peanut butter a little bit so it melts all over rather than just dollop on the top. But I feel like the ice has kind of diminished the carrot cake texture or the carrot cake flavouring from the paste. So maybe mixing it into the yogurt might help next time. So I'm going to give this about an 8.5 out of 10. Let me just try one more bite and see if I can change that. Yeah, definitely an 8.5 out of 10. That's what I'd make improvements. But if you enjoyed today's video, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, because I'm going to be documenting the rest of my prep. I'm 6 weeks out now. So very, very lean in the business end, the tough end where my legs feel like lead, where I really have no motivation to get my cardio in. I'm going to take you through the whole process until I get to stage. And this is where I'm going to bring my best physique I've ever seen in my life. And I'm super, super excited to bring you along.